Hi, my name is María Agustin and I'm the president of Timbro, a free market think tank based in Stockholm, Sweden. My job has many perks. One of the best is that I get to meet exciting, inspiring and interesting people from all walks of life. In this web TV exclusive, I'll talk to 5 such individuals. People whom I think can provide fresh perspectives on pressing issues. Today, I'm going to talk with María Agustin, who has a PhD and does research on migration and migrant workers. She has recently moved to Sweden, so we will get an outsider's perspective on Sweden as well. Thank you for coming, Laura.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, it's good to have you here, and I think it would be interesting if you could tell us a little more about your background. You have been living all over this place, so...
Yes, I usually describe myself as a lifetime migrant. My parents moved all the time when I was a child. Well, my father's work. He was a spy, and so he went from one country to another. And there was always it wasn't considered odd to move around all the time. And somehow I got that habit. And when I left home, I continued to do the same kind of thing. And so I've probably lived in, I don't know, it depends what length of time you count, but I've certainly lived in 30, 40 different, 50 places.
How many continents?
I lived in Egypt, so I've lived in Africa, but I've never lived in Asia. I haven't actually lived there. So it's a lot of different places in Latin America and some different places in the United States and in the Caribbean, and also a lot of different countries in Europe. So in the last 10, 15 years, I've been in Europe. I was 5 years in Spain and a few years in the UK. And then I got married to someone who lives in Malmö, and that's why I'm there.
Okay. So what's your impression of living in Sweden so far?
Well, people have such a dramatic ideas about Sweden. It seems to me it's a European country. It's familiar to me in a lot of ways. In other ways, it's, and I live in Malmö, so that's in the south, so it's more like Amsterdam and Copenhagen and places that I knew already. So it's not the most Nordic place that it could possibly be. But I also feel that Sweden is one of the most exotic places that I've ever lived.
When you say that people have dramatic images of Sweden, what do you mean?
Well, I was saying to a friend of mine in London who was trying to understand something I was saying, and I said, Sweden, it looks like a fairly big country for Europe, but it only has 9 million people. Yeah. And she said, my God, it's really punching above its weight. So the idea is that this is the country that represents some kind of extremely progressive welfare state, that it represents something that what Sweden does or its opinion is somehow symbolically important or something, even though it's really a small northern country with not very many people in it. And so I think that's interesting, but I'm aware when I'm outside and people say, Sweden, but and I think, well, it's another, to me, because I've lived so many places, it seems like, well, here's another, nice place. It's another
normal European country?
Normal European country, but at the same time, as I said, I do feel, for me, it's very highly exotic. But I'm not sure that other people would understand that either.